like to call this meeting of the Raton City Commission to order. Could we have a roll call, please, Michael Lynn, as she scrambles to her desk?
Mayor Sagata.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Schuster.
Present.
Commissioner Chavez.
Present.
Commissioner Giacomo.
Present.
And Commissioner Chatterley.
Present.
Hey, could you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next regular commission meeting will be Tuesday, December 8th, 6 p.m. here in the chambers, or virtual, whatever the case may be. But it will be Tuesday, December 8th, 6 p.m. All city offices will be closed November 26th, 27th in observance of Thanksgiving. This time we would take items from citizens present. Seeing none present, we'll move on to committee reports. Commissioner Chatterley.
I'm going to go ahead and forego reports tonight, just in the interest of time.
All righty, thank you. Commissioner Giacomo.
Okay, Arthur Johnson Memorial Library, the Resident Board was scheduled to be held on Tuesday, November 17th at 5:30, but was canceled due to the New Mexico governor's new COVID-19 requirements for a period November 23rd to November 30th, 2020. Information listed was forwarded to me by email. Because of the COVID-19 requirements, the library has been closed since last Saturday. Masks are not required in the library whenever it opens. State Library Director Carmela Aragon informed Tyler Wright that the first half of the state grant aid should be around $4,000 plus. Advertising for a new library advisor position has been posted. Statistical report for month of September 2020. Donations received was 0. Fines collected was $96.25. Copies made was $566.15. Memorials received was $170. There was 8 programs held in the library attended by 30 persons. No story hours were held. Statistical information for the month of October 2020. Donations received was $11.50 plus $2,434.15 was received as a reimbursement for 2016 Gold Bond practice programs. Fines received was $163.05. Copies made was $711.36. Memorials received was $20. Rooms held in the library was 8, attended by 65 persons. Story hours held was 0. RPS board meeting was held on Wednesday, October 28, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. Robin Osborne, RPS office manager, and Saskatoon presented to and approved by the board the financial and statistical information. RPS General Manager Sandy Chavez submitted her letter of retirement effective January 31st, 2021, which was approved by the board. After a long discussion by the board, it was unanimously approved by the board to promote Dave Encino to the Raton Public Service General Manager's position. The board discussed status of RPS Resolution 2020-3 to waive convenient fees on credit cards and utility payments made online and by telephone, and to extend disconnections during the COVID-19 emergencies. Sandy Chavez also reported there were 200 new meters installed for the month, making a total of 1,885 new meters installed. RPS General Manager Dave Encino covered work activities performed by the crew and an update of the Burro Canyon transmission line upgrades work was complete. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All righty, thank you, Don. Commissioner Chavez.
Yes, sir. We didn't have a financial board meeting, so that will be moved. So we did have a water board meeting. Currently, Lake Maloya is approximately 6 feet below the spillway. We passed a resolution to approve the control of the credit card utility payments made online by telephone and disconnect emergencies during COVID. The water line at O'Neill Crossing has been completed. We approved financials for the water board, and we approved the capital asset inventory for the water department, and the 3rd Street project is almost totally wrapped up. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Mayor Pro Tem Schuster.
Hello. So I did attend the water board meeting with Commissioner Chavez. Also on that same day, earlier in the day, November 17th at noon, the Board of Housing Authority met, and I'm going to be extremely brief here. They approved all their financial statements. There was a discussion of Resolution 572 allowing compensation for Raton Housing Authority employees, and then the discussion professional services agreement between Raton Housing Authority and the Northern Regional Housing Authority, meaning that they are merging and becoming the Northern Regional Housing Authority. There will be, I believe, 2 additional meetings to this board, and then it will simply be the Northern Regional Housing Authority, which will be, the appointees will be made by the governor at that time. So this board is about to dissolve. They expect to have 1 additional meeting one in December and 1 in January. And that's all I have on that. I spoke with Jeff today from the Center for Community Innovation, and he and I have worked on a couple of ideas. He's, of course, working with the GED program going on. They're testing using COVID-safe protocols. They tend to have just 1 person in at a time for testing. And then he and I started working on an idea that will come up later regarding capital outlays, where we will ask for capital outlay monies to renovate one of our buildings. I've also spoken with Mr. Barrett about this idea. And the Community for Community Innovation will work with groups like Growing Great Kids and to create a toy lending library in town. So I think it's a good idea, and I hope it moves forward. That's all I have.
Righty, thank you. As for myself, did not have any meetings other than we did the National League of Cities virtual conference last week. We were supposed to be in Tampa. We did it online. And as you can guess, much of the talk was on COVID-19 related things and economic recovery. There were some pretty good presenters. And then some discussion about the recent election. But other than that, I'm not going to go into detail at this time. So let's move into the business section of our meeting. Item 7A, approval of November 10th, 2020 regular commission meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. This is Commissioner Chatterley.
Okay,
No, second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as stated. Is there any further discussion? Anyone opposed, vote by the sign of aye. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. And that's where we'll be going tonight, guys. We'll just do the opposed thing. That way we're not getting all the confusion. Okay?
Good deal.
Item B, deliberate and act on the 2021 holiday schedule. Mr. Berry.
Mayor and Commission, I am requesting the Commission's approval of the proposed holiday schedule. We have 12 holidays in the calendar year on the schedule. They're the same ones we've had for many years with the City of Raton. I would tell you that this list really is formalized with each of the 4 collective bargaining agreements that we have that the Commission has agreed to previously, but I would seek your approval of this for the upcoming calendar year.
Ready, thank you.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second, this is Lindy.
We have a motion by Commissioner Chavez and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Schuster to approve. Is there any further discussion? Anyone opposed to this motion, vote by the sign of aye. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Item C, deliberate and act on resolution 2020-65, disposal of surplus property. Mr. Berry.
Mayor and Commission, I am actually going to defer to the city clerk on this issue. Just some real brief comments. We have some old police cars on the list here. They're a couple of generations old. They're the old vehicles, not just the old police vehicles. We did get information that the state has sold bonds that would fund our capital outlay that was approved last winter, February of 2020, and so because it's a COVID year, 2020, it's taken a really long time for that to happen. We would anticipate going through the various processes to be able to purchase new police vehicles pretty shortly, but we need to get rid of some old ones too. But I'd get comments from Michael Ann on this item.
Mayor and Commission, as City Manager Berry stated, these are quite old. They have not been in our fleet for quite some time. As far as we know, they're all probably more salvage. They've been stored at our Public Works yard and literally just have weeds and trees growing up around them. So they've been sitting there for quite some time. As we discussed a little bit when we were talking about our fixed assets, as we retire inventory and obsolete equipment, we would like to probably start having some larger auctions and things to clean up this stuff that's just laying around and, you know, does have some value. So I think we could still, you know, clean up and make a little bit of money in the process. So with this particular resolution, we are requesting to dispose of 7 of these Crown Victorias ranging from 1996 to 2000. We probably would just go ahead and advertise to take sealed bids on these, and then, you know, we may or may not sell all 7 of them, I don't know, but we're gonna attempt to do it that way first. We do still also have the option of doing our online public surplus auction, which we could do as well, but I think for right now, we'll just proceed, if it's approved this evening, with soliciting sealed bids.
Okay. I'd just point out the second whereas is misspelled.
Oh, it is? Okay. We will correct that prior to your signature.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Any questions for Michael Ann or Scott?
There you go.
I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2020-65, disposal of surplus property.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Giacomo and a second by Mr. Chavez to adopt resolution 2020-65 with the correction to the whereas. Is there any further discussion? Anyone opposed to this motion, vote by the sign of aye. Hearing none, this motion carries. Thank you. Item D, deliberate and act on resolution 2020-66, approval of sunset date for temporary suspension of convenience fees on credit card utility payments made online and by telephone, and for the extension of disconnects during COVID-19 emergency. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, this relates to the convenience fees that normally would be charged on a credit or debit card payment for utilities. And you'll remember back in the spring, in order to encourage people and make it easier for them to pay that way, we waived those convenience fees and did that by resolution that ran through December 31st. We talked about this a couple of meetings ago, extending that under this resolution. The commission would agree to extend the suspension of convenience fees and disconnection of utilities and refuse service for non-payment, and that's an extension of that disconnection through March 31st of 2021. But you would also grant the city manager discretion for extending the suspension to a date not to exceed June 30th of 2021 if the city management believes it to be in the best interest of the city of Raton and the public. We are patterning this after action by the utilities. So the water board has adopted this resolution previously, and I think that Raton Public Service Company will take this up at their next meeting as well. And of course, Mayor and Commission, this has to do with solid waste fees that are under the City of Raton portion of the utility bill.
Ready, thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Berry?
Sounds good to me. This is Commissioner Chatterley. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-66.
I'll second. This is Lindy.
We have a motion from Commissioner Chatterley and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Schuster to adopt resolution number 2020-66. Is there any further discussion? Any opposed to this motion, vote by the sign of aye. Hearing none, this motion is approved. Thank you. Item E, deliberate and act on fiscal year 2021 lodgers tax non-promotional fund proposals. They would be the Raton Arts Council and the Raton Museum. I would make a recommendation that we approve these at the same time, if that's all right with everybody, or disapprove them, whatever happens. Mr. Berry?
Mayor and Commission, on the phone, we do have Kathy McQuarrie from the Raton Museum and Terry Baca from the Raton Arts Council. They're available to answer questions that you might have about these requests. In your packet, you have requests that were actually filed back at the consideration of the budget period back in June for the 2021 budget. And as discussed here at that time, it was budgeted to fund half of the requests by both of these organizations. And at this time, I think both organizations are requesting the remaining 50% of their original requests. So in the case of Raton Museum, and they might clarify anything I get wrong here, but the original request for $15,000, we're now considering the remaining 50% of that. Raton Arts Council requests $18,000, and we're requesting the remaining 50% of that. Michael Antonucci, our clerk treasurer, has dealt with this directly. Michael Ann, I don't know if you have any clarifying statements or additional information on the requests, and then we'll let commissioners ask their questions.
Mayor Commission, I did put a memo in your packet just to kind of detail out that, as the city manager stated, they are requesting 50% of the remaining $15,000 and $18,000 that was requested back in July. So I did detail that out for you in a memo, and I did want you to know that as we had discussed, the reason for only doing the 50% was our concern with the amount of funding coming in from lodgers tax because of the restrictions on the motels due to the COVID. And then also we had budgeted for the convention center boiler project and also the Schuler renovation of the office, which both of those are either complete or nearing completion. So we're still in the process of paying those vendors those final payments, and so we really kind of wanted to see what the balance was in the fund after those two projects were complete. So I have stated that we have seen a 31% decline in the lodger's tax revenues since July. And that is due to the ongoing COVID pandemic. And so we were concerned with these effects, especially going into the winter months, because we know that we are kind of experiencing some additional restrictions in the last week or so. And there are some restrictions on travel from out-of-state travelers that would probably frequent our ski areas, which the ski areas are closed until at least November 30th. So we're going to see a loss of revenue from the lack of travel there. But other than that, I have reviewed the first quarter, and I do feel comfortable recommending that with the revenues we've projected that will come in, that we could certainly fulfill both of these requests for this fiscal year. But I do caution the commission that, you know, we will be starting our budget discussions for FY '22, and so I think we're really going to have to look at the budget then and see, you know, establish priorities for next fiscal year is going to be a little bit more challenging, and to possibly fund some of these requests that we did this year. But for this fiscal year, I feel comfortable that we could obligate these funds for these purposes.
Okay, thank you, Michael Ann. Is there any questions or comments for Michael Ann or Scott? Okay, how about Terry? Mr. Baca is on the line. Terry, do you have any comments you'd like to make at this time?
No, I just, you know, we obviously, you know, during the pandemic, we've been shut down and open for a little while, and sales have just been flat. I mean, we're just pretty minimal. We did do cash mouth several months back that did infuse a little cash into our organization, and has helped somewhat, but it, like I said, sales are just almost nothing at this point. So any help that we get from the commission would be very much appreciated.
All right, thank you, Terry. Any questions for Terry? Okay, Kathy, how about you?
Yes, again, thank you guys for taking the opportunity to review this again and go forward. We know everyone's been subject to the restrictions. The museum obviously was open January through March, and that's a slow period to begin with. And then we did open up September 16th through November 14th with the most recent closure. So we have seen huge declines. Our admission fees are down 83%, our sales are down 84%, and we just go down the line. So again, we're not being able to generate the revenues, so we would truly appreciate having the additional half of the lodger's tax allocated back in July.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy? Okay, this comes with a recommendation after talking, you know, with Scott and Michael N. that they feel comfortable with the going ahead with the additional funding. So I would entertain a motion.
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Chavez and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Schuster to recommend awarding these funds from the non-promotional fund. Is there any further discussion? Anyone opposed to this motion, vote by the sign of aye. Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
I appreciate you all.
You bet. Thanks, guys. Have a good holiday.
You too.
All right, item F, City Manager Report. Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. I've said this before, but we have a lot of ongoing construction. I think we've talked about most of that. We've talked about, referred to it during the meeting here. I've really only got one item for you here on the Great Blocks project. The most recent piece of construction was to remove the asphalt pavement in the intersection of First Street and Cook Avenue. That is the entrance to the depot, and we replaced that with a colored pattern stamped reinforced concrete. So the work has been done. However, we are going to keep that intersection closed to allow the strengthening of concrete. It's about a week old now. We get full strength at 4 weeks. So it's really my plan to keep that closed for about 3 weeks. And so I know that people have had some irritation with a lot of the construction activity downtown, but construction progress is really good. I'm really happy with all of it. And so we'll continue on for a little while longer, but this strengthening process is important. I would report to the commission that the staff is dedicating a lot of time right now to progress with transferring of CARES Act funding that was awarded to Raton from DFA to the city, and that is the two components. That's the local government relief and the small business support. It is late November, and there is a end of the year deadline. We don't want to wait till the end of December, so we're going to put a lot of effort into completing that process over the next couple of weeks. We had talked about small business support previously. We had a little bit of remaining funds there. That will happen pretty quickly, and we're also we'll get the local government portion of that transferred, and I'll update you as we go on that. I would tell the commission something everyone really is aware of. There was a special session of the legislature. It was called today by the governor. They have been doing their work, and really they're talking about one bill which is intended to channel $350 million in direct economic aid to unemployment, small business, and emergency housing subsidies. And so we'll get more information on that when they wrap that up. May get wrapped up today, I'm not sure, but it will be a very quick special session. As far as we know, the regular session is still scheduled for January, so I'll keep you updated on that. We'll talk about that at the December meeting and our capital outlay request at the regular session. Mayor and Commission, I've got one last remaining item. I'm very pleased to bring this up with the commission. The city did receive a gift of real estate from the Glenn A. Duckett and Beverly Creeve-Cabbage Living Trust. And so that consists of the donation of about 9 lots in the Fairview edition of Raton. That generally is the vacant property north of Tiger Drive in the area of KRTN. That property could really be important in our economic development efforts in the future. And I really want to thank Beverly Creeve-Cabbage for making this offer and working with the city on this transfer. And I look forward to some additional recognition of not only Glenn and Beverly, but the Creeve-Cabbage family in general for this and the contributions Creeve-Cabbage has made in Raton over many, many years. So I want to publicly express my thanks to Glenn and Beverly for that gesture. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Berry. Yes, I would like to also express my thanks for that. That's all he's got. Commissioners, Commissioner Chatterley, anything else?
I'll echo my thanks as well for that donation and also wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Commissioner Giacomo.
And at this time, thanks for everything.
Commissioner Chavez.
I'm done.
In more ways than one. Mayor Pro Tem Schuster.
And thank you again to the Creeve-Cabbage family. I know they worked hard on that, giving that donation. And yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. May you all have a small dinner.
All right, thank you. As for myself, yes, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Although the group will be small, the food will be plentiful. So thank you all. With no other business, this meeting is adjourned.